Hey guys, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new. If you are new, thank you so much for being here, and I hope that you consider subscribing before you leave so that you don't miss out on my future videos. But today's video is going to be some Dollar Tree flips. These are just really easy DIYs where we're just taking something from Dollar Tree and just kind of giving it a facelift to make it better suit our taste and preferences. So let's get into the first DIY. So for this first one, I have this hello sign from Dollar Tree. They had this with a few different words. I don't remember what the other ones were, but there was different words with different backgrounds. So I'm just trying to pop off this top piece. And you'll see I did struggle a little bit because once I figured out, well, I wasn't sure how it was coming off. So once I realized it, of course, was a little bit easier, I kept hitting resistance. But I'm just using my little, I guess, is that a putty knife? I'm not a professional. Unfortunately, I pulled here and broke this, but we reattached it and it was fine in the end. So I realized that the end pieces were what needed to come off, and so I needed to get these staples out, and they were really deep staples. So I just used a flathead screwdriver and my wire cutters or pliers to pull them out. And then the piece came off. So this is how it came off. I don't know if this is how it will for everybody. Sometimes when you're taking stuff apart, it comes off different each time, but you can see how the ends were attached to the top part. So first I'm just going to glue this on. I'm just using a little bit of wood glue. This isn't wood, it's like MDF. And then I just attached some painter's tape to hold that in place while it dried and while I worked on everything else. So I've got some Rust-Oleum chalk paint in the color Serenity Blue that I'm going to tape this or paint the bottom part with, but of course you can do any color. I did sand off the rough spots from where those staples came off, and I at first just wanted to paint over the paper, and I'm going to spare you the process. It painted well, but then it kind of was bowing up, and I was like, oh, this paper can just come off pretty easily. So I pulled it off, scraped it off with a little, my little scraper here and a little sharp knife cutting off the edges, and then I just painted that clean surface in the back. I just didn't realize that it would be that easy, and I was afraid if I started pulling off the paper I'd end up with a mess. So now we're going to give this a couple of coats, and I'm going to paint the whole inside, so this back part plus the two long edges. I painted the inside, and we will take care of that on the top piece as well. I wanted to paint this with black, so I'm using ink by Waverly chalk paint, and we're going to paint all of the outside pieces black. And I also wanted to paint the edges. You can kind of see how the edges of Hello are like just a plain MDF color, and I like the contrast, but I knew that I was going to have too hard of a time painting just the top and paint not going down along the sides. So I was like, you know what, we're just going to paint the edges too and kind of embrace it. You can see a little bit that piece at the bottom that I glued back together is bowing out, but don't worry, when we attach it, it's going to be glued down, so it worked out just fine. So don't freak out too much if you do any damage taking it apart. It can be fixed. So now we're going to paint the inside pieces here with that blue color because that is part of the inside base. So I hope that's making sense. And then the outside of the base had a couple pieces that would be seen, so I'm painting that in the black. But of course, like I said, you can do any colors you want. You could just do paper on the back. You could Mod Podge tissue paper. I am doing this for a guest bedroom, so I'm trying to make it work with the colors I have in there. And now I'm just going to take some wood glue. You could use some hot glue as well, I guess, if you wanted. And we're just going to reattach this. And then it does take a little bit to set, I think like 30 minutes. So depending on the glue you use, just make sure I'll give it time to set. I just placed something heavy on it until it was set. And this is how it came out. And I love it. I think it's really cute, and it's going to look adorable in my guest bedroom. So for this next one, I'm just pulling one sign from the Easter section. I've had it for a while, but you can just pull anything from, any season, anyone that you've had lying around, and we're just going to paint it. We're going to paint the back. So once again, I'm using the Serenity Blue, but you can do whatever you want there. If you are new, or maybe you're not new but you haven't yet subscribed, I'd love it if you would consider doing so. If you are not familiar with YouTube, subscribing is kind of like following as you would on other platforms. There's no cost to you, and you can This way you actually can see the future posts. It just kind of makes sure that YouTube notifies you. So please consider doing so before you leave. I love sharing DIYs with you. So now I'm just taking a wall decal. This one I believe was from Dollar General. They had a bunch of them for $1, but Dollar Tree also carries them. So you can take your pick, but you could also stencil, do anything. But I just wanted to kind of show you how simple this is. We're just painting the sign, putting on a decal. I am distressing this, and I first went in with silver lining from Waverly, and it just was too light and wasn't giving enough, I don't know, contrast for me. So now I'm going in with mineral from Waverly chalk paint, and I'm distressing mainly along the edges, and I did do a little bit over the words just because I wanted to make them not, I don't know, make them blend in a little bit more, but just be careful you don't kind of really cover it up. And then I Mod Podged everything. And then I'm taking this Gorilla Glue glue stick, and we're just going to rub that along the back of this, and then we're going to flip that over and put it on the craft paper, and that way you have a finished backing. I'm thinking of possibly giving this one away as a gift, so I wanted to make sure that the back was covered up, and I just put a cutting mat underneath, and using my utility blade and cutting around the edges to cut it out. Then I just took a sanding block on the edges, pushing away from the brown paper for any extra pieces that needed to come off, and then using my little blade to cut out the whole area. I'm just reattaching the twine that it came with because I really liked it. It's really thick and different than the stuff I already have on hand, and retying that. And there it is. Super simple, guys. Painting and doing a wall decal completely changed the look. So for this next one, I'm going to take an 8x10 canvas from Dollar Tree, and I'm going to actually take out all of the staples. I don't always do that, but I am here, and I am using a flathead screwdriver and my little pliers. I think it's actually wire cutters, but they work for this kind of thing too. And I skipped a couple that were giving me a hard time at first, and then eventually went back around, and they all came out without too much problem. And we're saving that canvas because we're going to use that. So we're going to paint this frame, and I wanted to try where you like dilute the paint to more of like a stain. So I'm using the elephant color from Waverly chalk paint and some water, and I'm going to brush this on and then wipe it off with a paper towel. And I messed around with it a bit based on like how long I left it on, for how long, or how dark the stain color was. But you can do that, mess around with it, or you could just paint it, you know, just a solid paint. But I wanted some of that wood to show through on this. Sorry, I feel like my voice sounds a little froggy. It's not early in the morning, but it is the first time I've spoken today, so my voice sounds like I'm losing it. And then I pulled out some wood letters that I'm painting in the color ink. But for this general concept, you can do obviously any words, and you don't necessarily have to have these wood letters. I'm going to make a little collage with some rub-on transfers, and I just wanted this word to be a little bit bigger, but you could stencil it or write it or whatever you wanted. I had these rub-on transfers from Dollar Tree, and I just looked at them and was like, what comes to mind? Like, what's a way that I could use a bunch of these? And for me personally, I saw a bunch that reminded me of God and my faith. But you could also do something like family. There's a lot of ones here that would work great for family, or maybe even taking a family photo on the center and then putting these rub-on transfers all around. So just kind of, you know, do what speaks to you. But I'm cutting out all of the words that kind of, I don't know, meant something to me when I was thinking about God. I also even cut out some individual letters to create words, and then I just have a little, little, I don't know, what is the word I'm looking for? I spread them out all on the canvas in different directions and everything. And I just took some other wood letters in the center to find my placement because my wood letters were still drying, and I'm just laying these down using a popsicle stick to rub them on. Here's one word, this piece, and I also did it with a faithful that I just cut out individual letters to make the words. But like I said, this would also be cute with like a family photo in the center, and there was a bunch of, like a family vacation photo would be really cool, or maybe just your yearly photo, and there's a bunch of words in there that would also go really well for something like that. But this is what I chose to do, and then I have my letters, and I'm going to just glue them down, and then we're going to glue down the frame. I'm again choosing to use wood glue, just because I felt like my hot glue would end up getting everywhere, and I wanted a clean finish, but hot glue would definitely work just fine on this. I hope you're enjoying these really easy DIYs. These are just kind of a little flipping of the Dollar Tree items. They don't, not all DIYs have to be complicated or for a particular theme. And I hope you also realize you can just take the general idea of these and make them your own, use your own colors, your own words, your own theme. And once our frame is glued down, we're just going to take this little utility knife and cut off that canvas. I really love how this little sign came out. I think it's really cute, and it would be very versatile to make in many different ways. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. Once again, if you liked it, please give it a thumbs up because that really does help me out. And subscribe if you are new, and make sure that notification bell is turned on, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye, guys.